This is Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag. Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag is Baton Rouge's longest running and best television show. Who would have believed that?
My best friend, Lee Feinswag, with the Christmas.
Sports 225 is brought to you by Breck. Remember, it all starts at Breck. Now, your host, Lee Feinswag.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm excited because Glenn Guilbeau is going to sing another Eclipse of the Heart in just a little while. No, not really. It's
I hate that
the
song.
Epoch Eclipse is over, and it's our second show of the new season. And I went right to Glenn Guilbeau because later on we'll talk about football and specifically LSU football. He is a prolific college football writer. But for the first time in his life, Glenn Guilbeau got out of the country this year other than Mexico. And he and Michelle went to England.
Yes.
And were you nervous?
A little bit, you know, going to a different country. And there was a lot of security, you know, in London because of the recent terrorism. But no, it was fine. You know, everybody speaks English. That's comforting.
They mostly do.
Yeah. And I was at a Marriott, which, you know, it's like going to a McDonald's, only better. But points, man. Sports writer points came through in London, big time. But no, we had a real good time. We want to go back.
So the first time you fly to Europe, you're sort of like, so you took that new British Airways.
British Airways from New Orleans. We left New Orleans at 9:15 on a Friday, July 29th.
At night.
At night, and arrived in London at Heathrow at 11:30 the next morning. And, you know, didn't go to bed because we both slept in the plane. And, you know, and just started doing the museums that day, the Tower Museum, not the Tower.
Tower of London.
Yeah, we went to that the next day. We went to Charles Dickens Museum the first day. That was pretty cool. But no, it was, and you know, there's movies available at your seat and free wine, drinks, and everything. So it was pretty cool. It went fast.
That's good. When you get there, London's a lot like New York.
Yeah.
Because it's just a big, bustling, massive city.
Yeah.
But it's pretty easy to negotiate.
Yeah, and we were in central London, near Hyde Park, and you know, it was a nice area, and the tube and the trains were really kept up, better than in New York, I thought, you know.
Yeah.
But it was easy to get around once you figured the maps and everything. Got a little Oyster card to.
Yeah, the Oyster card. Yep, I saved mine for the next time. You know, so you just got to load it back up again. The Oyster card is a strange thing. It's just actually a card to use for the public transport. Over there. So we were.
I tried to use my Drago's card, but it didn't work.
And you didn't eat any oysters when you were there, I'm sure.
No, the food was average, you know, hit and miss. And we didn't eat at any of the fine international restaurants, but we just ate pub food, which was okay.
Did you have fish and chips?
Oh, yeah, we had enough fish and chips, man.
I love fish and chips. So I got, excuse me, I'm fighting some cough, but I got Glenn to send me some pictures. So you guys feel free to pop them up there, Nils, whatever we might have. There we go. So I labeled that for the purpose of, it said Glenn with Don Quixote, but it kind of looks like that. Where is that?
I'm getting stabbed. That's somewhere in London at some museum. We must have went to 7 museums, and I have a man purse. Actually, it's my wife's camera holder. I don't carry a man purse.
And there
That's
you are.
Big Ben.
Big Ben, and that's taken from the other side. Like there's also another Marriott on the other side of the bridge, right on the corner there that I've stayed at. Yeah, but Big Ben up, and there's Glenn doing what he does best.
That's a pub right near Parliament, right near Big Ben, that was there like since, you know, 1400. You know, New Orleans is known for old bars, you know, like Napoleon House. In London, if you're at a bar that was built after 1600, it's not cool.
It's old.
I know, really, or it's too new.
Did you?
There's a phone booth.
There we go. Yeah, that's just a fake.
Calling in my story, calling in the Advocate.
Right.
To Butch, dictating a story. All there was soccer in the papers.
Oh yeah, that's all they
naturally. But I thought Ara Parseghian's Obit might make it, but that didn't even make it.
And
that's in somewhere we got caught in the rain. I'm not
That's in
sure
York.
where that is. Yeah, that's in York. I'm not even sure where that is.
And I know that because you told me in the email it was York. That's Glenn's wife, Michelle.
Somebody.
There you go.
Michelle planned the whole trip. She'd been to London before. She went to Wimbledon, so she was very well versed on everything. And she wanted to go to York because of the Bronte sisters. She's read them, and then Buckingham Palace and.
She kept you going on this trip.
Oh
didn't
yeah.
you? This was not a vacation. This was a trip.
Yeah. It. That jet lag thing, I was a little tired the next day, but that was because, Michelle wanted us up at the crack of dawn. The museums, tours, walks.
Right. We'll finish up this segment with an important part about going to Europe, and especially London. In the pubs, they have a pull.
No tap. It's a pull, right? And it's
so
slower.
There are bars where there's just a regular tap, and you get the beer right there. But then there's a thing called a pull.
Yeah.
And it draws the beer all the way from the basement.
Yeah. And it's supposedly a better pour, but it's not, the beer's not as cold.
No, but it's not warm like people think.
No, it's not warm, and it's not bad. I mean, in Germany, I'm told it is warm, but beer doesn't have to be ice cold. And I was impressed with the beer. A lot of just had the local drafts is what I had, and those pubs are nice.
Then your next trip, we got to get you to the beer gardens in Munich. Oh. the young ladies there, they'll carry 7 2-pint glasses at one time. Their arms are stronger than mine, and it's just, the beer's cold, and there's nothing better. All right, he's Glenn Guilbeau. He covers LSU and other things for Gannett News Service and various other media outlets. When we get back, I still want to ask him about going through the moors and avoiding getting bitten by a werewolf, but we'll talk some LSU football.
Thinking about it.
There you go. All right, I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College, and we are so excited to have been awarded Forbes magazine's top 30 two-year technical colleges in America. To achieve this award, ITI was recognized for our high scores in 1, earnings of our graduates, 2, quality of education, and 3, affordability. To learn more, we invite you to visit our campus or go online. ITI Technical College. Begin your journey to a better life.
All right, we're back on Sports 225. I'm hanging out with Glenn Guilbeau. He covers LSU and other things for the Gannett News Service. He is a veteran sports writer, but a rookie international traveler. So we got to keep going on travel because you told me you went to the moors. And
3 days in London, and then we took a train to Haworth, which is where Emily and Charlotte Bronte are from, the best family of authors ever. They wrote, one of them wrote Wuthering Heights, the other one wrote Jane Eyre, which my wife read those books like in college, and there's the house they lived in and the museum. It was really cool, and we stayed in an inn that was also a pub, which is pretty common there. And Haworth is this old.
You mean so like you could be downstairs drinking, and then all you got to do is go upstairs?
Exactly. You could eat and drink, and the bartender was rude, just like in American Werewolf in London, and then though that was a woman in that one. But she looked like a man. No, anyway. And, and the next day we went hiking through the moors, and there was little signs, but it wasn't like a.
And describe the moors for people.
Well, the moors is.
And let me back up. There's a movie called American Werewolf in London where the guy gets bit by the werewolf in the moors.
Yeah. Right. After going to this pub, and great movie, So the moors is basically a big rolling meadow that has hills. It's just real scenic, and there's sheep everywhere. It's pretty idyllic. So we're walking through there, and it's a known tour, and there's signs and everything, but it's not really well marked. And there's not a big crowd, so we kind of went off pace a little bit, and we climbed a fence. Oh, well, there's a ladder there. This must be the trail. And actually it wasn't. We're in somebody's backyard.
Oh, no.
I'm glad they didn't have a mean dog or whatever. So
international incident.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we got back on the trail, but, it reminded me of the movie. So I was looking behind me. Of course, they were walking at night, though. We were walking during the day. And then there's a waterfall that one of the Brontes drew inspiration from. That's really a sight to see, and we went to that. And then if you keep going, is what inspired the Wuthering Heights. This excellent view. But we didn't go that far because it was getting dark and werewolves were coming out.
So werewolf drinking a pina colada at Trader Vic's, and his hair was perfect.
But it was cool, you know. And then we came back a different way and stopped at another pub, you know. And
That's good.
And even some of the museums serve beer. You know, a lot of museums in America have like a snack shop, you know, and they have coffee and whatever. But all these have beer. They serve beer everywhere. It's like, you know,
Were you
it's
sober?
like tea.
Were you sober at
It's
all
like
on this
tea.
trip? Yeah,
Oh no, yeah. I was
So
sober.
This is we'll get off the travel thing here, but this is one thing. So your first time international, you know, other than going to Mexico, which in some ways doesn't count.
Yeah, right.
I've always maintained that every time I've made an international trip, I'm better for it. I feel better. I've learned something.
Somebody told
makes
me that too.
appreciate, you know,
Yeah.
it gives me a better perspective on life in general.
Yeah, it is. I would agree with that. It is pretty cool to see how you know, other people live, for sure.
All right.
But it was interesting.
Meanwhile, right to the point, I have been on record as said that LSU football will go 7-5 this year, win the first 5 games, and then fall off the table.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's possible. The schedule is easier early, and they have a tougher schedule than usual with the extra road game at Florida, which is going to be good.
And that's the 6th game.
Yeah, and Auburn comes in here. This is Auburn's probably best chance to win in Baton Rouge in a long time. You know, they haven't won here since '99. You know, Alabama's going to be good again. Tennessee is so-so, but that's a late season game at Tennessee. I have them a little better than 7-5. I have them maybe 9-3 or 8-4.
You're part of a Facebook group called LSU Nation.
Uh-huh.
And I've been invited to that, so I'm on it. And It's a closed group, so how the hell I got on there is beyond me. But it's like got 35,000 people. And it's some media guys post some stuff, but mostly fans are just in there. It's going to be the best year ever for this guy, and this guy's going to do great, and this guy's going to do great. Is there anybody who's not going to do great?
Yeah, you know, fan bases tend to try to convince themselves that everything's great this time of year, no matter what.
Everybody's unbeaten and optimistic.
Yeah, I
everybody's
know.
in the hunt for the national
I
championship.
know, but
right now.
it's funny. They get mad if you try to maybe, you know, like one of the other writers, somebody asked him if, you know, if Miles Brennan was going to start this year, and he said no. And they said, oh, well, then you hate LSU. No, I mean, it's funny how the fans get this time of year. But, you know, there is reason to be optimistic other than just being a fan. I mean, I do think the offense is going to be better under Matt Canada. And, you know, I'm not so much into how different it's going to be, but if it's different and better, because if you're different and not better, it doesn't matter. And I think Etling is going to be better because he's got a real quarterback coach with college experience. The first time they've had that at LSU really since Jimbo Fisher, as far as a pure quarterback coach. So I think he's going to be better. Plus he's healthier. I mean, he really was hurt last year. I mean, he couldn't feel his foot at times. You know, he was in a lot of pain. You
I
know,
had that last night.
Yeah. Well, he's only 22. You know, your
Hey,
back,
another
your back
cramp.
is everything. You know, and so he's throwing the ball better, and I think we'll see bits and pieces of Miles Brennan. And you know, there's some talent on offense, and you know, they're going to mix it up and give Geis spaces to run instead of just the old tailback offense. So it should be fun to watch the offense develop.
I still think they'll have a 65-35 ratio. Did you miss SEC football media days because of your trip?
Oh no, we went to it just before the trip.
Then, so
Yeah.
your trip was spaced out in between SEC football media days and then the start of.
Well, actually, it's funny, and this was another great part of the trip. I missed the entire first week of camp.
Oh, I bet you were just sick about that.
But it was an accident because when we made the trip in February, at that time LSU was going to start at their usual time of August 6th because we came back on August 5th, and that was the first Monday was 7th. But because of the two-a-days rule change by the NCAA in the spring, in like May or April, they changed the practice schedule. So, but it worked. I mean, you know, it's like I was talking to some of the guys. You don't miss anything.
No,
I mean,
you didn't
practice
miss
is
anything.
like football practice in August is like midweek baseball games. They don't matter.
You didn't miss anything, and they didn't miss you. It just, you know, all right.
I mean, it's important for the team, but there's really not a lot that happens coverage-wise.
Especially if practice is closed and they're not talking to you
Yeah,
anyway.
I know,
All right.
exactly. It's crazy.
He's Glenn Guilbeau. We're going to keep talking LSU football when we get back here to Sports 225.
Don't let the bed bugs bite you. We'll put them to sleep.
Bed bugs can be transported from most anywhere. Hotels, department stores, even a friend's house.
We've got the bead on bed bugs. Call the bug man today.
Call 923-BUGS.
Sometimes that song gets in my head. It's crazy. All right, we're back on Sports 225 talking football with Glenn Guilbeau. Glenn, so you had alluded to right before we went to break about the coordinators.
Yeah.
I think that much of the optimism related to LSU football this year is because LSU has two really good coordinators.
Sure.
And I maintain that that's nice, but not as nice as people think, because you got to have the people.
Yeah. Well, you know, Matt Canada to me is really a great hire, and you know Ed Orgeron's going to let him coordinate the offense, because Les was always kind of involved in the offense, sometimes to his detriment, sometimes not. Really the problem was he had bad quarterbacks, but his coordinators didn't always help either. But I think he's going to let Matt really do what Matt's done at other places, which is whatever he needs to win, and not trying to do something the same way all the time. And I think you're going to see them have more of a spread attack and getting Geis in open spaces as a runner and throwing the ball better.
Meaning like a lot of coaches are guilty of, all right, we're going to do it this way, and we do it this way no matter what the personnel is.
Exactly.
And that certainly is, sometimes was the case the last decade.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
sure.
In your mind, maybe different.
Yeah. I mean, look, even Saban changed, you know, when he got Lane Kiffin. So, and Matt Canada is a guy, he looks at his personnel and he figures what works the best instead of the other way around. So I think that's going to work, and I think Etling is going to be better because he's healthier and he's got a real quarterback coach who's going to have more of a variety of plays that will help. But, you know, their offensive line is not as good as it's been in the past.
Right.
And they which kind of forces them to use kind of a finesse game. So I think you're going to see more of a finesse game out of them, and that's going to be fun to watch. Dave Aranda's back for his second year. He was great last year, and he's got a lot of talent this year as well, even though they lost people. But listen to those guys on Monday night talk. I mean, they were so smart and such good interviews that I know it's not going to ever happen again until next year, you know. And Orgeron's very good too with the media. His press conferences have been very informative. And,
do you think he's telling you the truth?
I do.
And the reason is because practice is closed and you're not getting to see anything.
Exactly. Well, first of all, he's got stuff written down, and he's not just obviously making it up as he goes, which is what Les did. He just made it up as he went. And Jordan Jefferson's best games were games we didn't see, because that's when his best numbers were, those scrimmages. But but there are some people that I know that are going to the practices who are in the media, who are friends with, well, Mike Detillier, okay? And he says they're pretty accurate. So, and Ed said the other day that they gave up 10 sacks. So, you know, if he was hiding stuff, he'd have hid that. And their offensive line struggled a bit in the scrimmage Saturday. So he's been pretty open. You ask Ed a question, he answers it. And that makes it more interesting to cover.
Well, there was a story that came out last week from the Football Writers Association in our newsletter that talked about how Navy has wide open practices, and they've had an unbelievably good, successful program of late. Did you see that?
No, I didn't, but that's amazing, because you would think if anyone closed practices, it would be the armed services.
Yeah.
So they're wide open at Navy. That's pretty good. Yeah, you know, it's funny. You know, Alabama has this reputation of being closed off, and this was a long time ago, but when I covered Alabama in the 90s, during the week, you could roam through the coaching office and just walk into any coach's office you wanted to during like a 2-hour window on a Tuesday, I think it was. Never could do that at LSU, even in the 80s, you know. And it's a shame, because it'd be great to be able to talk to Aranda in Canada once every couple of weeks during the season, or maybe once a month, you know. I remember I suggested that to Coach DiNardo one time. Why don't you have a coordinator once a week, and you don't have to deal with us that day? Oh, no, you'll want to talk to me. I'm like, no. but usually the head coach wants to be in front of all that. Like, you know, Saban, he doesn't like his coordinators being interviewed, which is amazing, because when Saban was Belichick's coordinator, he got mad because Belichick didn't let him talk because he thought it was hurting his career. And then he turns around and does the same thing.
The good part about Sports 225 is we always let Glenn Guilbeau come on and talk a lot. It's good to see you after the first time after it's probably been
good.
April, I think, since we saw each other.
Yes.
All right, we got to take this last break. We only got a little bit of time left. It's Sports 225.
See that dog lover? About to unleash the terror hound on these friendly, unsuspecting canines? Well, I'm the human dislike button, and I see it too. Easy there, Cujo. Taking part in a dog socialization program at a shelter or pet store can help nip this problem in the bud. And no matter how well socialized your pet is, cleaning up the little rays of sunshine they leave in their merry wake is your responsibility. To learn more about me, go to breck.org/HDB.
Coming down a very short home stretch of Sports 225, thanks to Nils Breckhoff, the Your View, not just Cox 4 anymore, guy, for punching today and filling in. And, of course, to Glenn here from Gannett News Service, who covers LSU. You'll eventually maybe do some of those Saints and a little this and that as the season goes on. All right, since we haven't seen each other since the start of the college football season, as far as LSU goes, still, from the time we're doing this, a solid 10 days away. SEC Media Days, the usual suspects. Your thoughts about predictions for the league?
Well, Alabama has just suffocated.
How the hell do they do it?
Just recruiting and continuing to develop players, and it just becomes a cycle. And no one else has been able to match it. And really, overall, the SEC doesn't have as good coaches as they used to have. Really, the Big Ten has better coaches. I mean, after Saban, you don't have like a Harbaugh or Urban Meyer or something like that. You've got some survivor coaches and some up-and-coming coaches, but
survivor coaches, I like that.
But no one that's really you see as a major threat to Coach Saban yet. I mean, he might just have to retire before it changes. I mean, I don't see him going down. He might have a year off here and there, but he really hadn't had a year off really since the 2010 season when he lost 3 games. 3 games, my God.
That was the year after losing beating LSU in the national championship.
No, it was the year before. It was the year after he won the 2009 championship.
Okay.
Then they kind of lost 3 games in 10, and then 11. He shouldn't have got. He was lucky to get in the championship game because Oklahoma State losing, and then basically he's won it almost every year since then. So
when the dust clears, in
I think
January,
I like Auburn. I like Auburn. I think LSU will probably be about 3rd in the SEC. I think Georgia is going to be right up there. It's going to be Georgia and Florida in the East. I don't think Tennessee's going to be that good. You've had some of these teams fall off, like Texas A&M. I don't think they're going to be that good. I don't think Arkansas is a threat. Mississippi State and Ole Miss, I don't know. Mississippi State might be better. But to me, it looks like Alabama, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Auburn.
There you go.
But Alabama ahead of those.
All right, you follow him at LSU Beat. Tweet. LSU Beat Tweet.
And on Facebook. LSU Nation.
And Gannett News Service. And one of those TV stations.
WWL-TV.
All right. Great to have you back.
All right. Enjoy the travel talk.
Yeah, exactly. A different kind of show, but this always has been. Thanks for watching. I'm Lee Feinswag. This has been Sports 225.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story. At Spanish Town Mardi Gras, things can get blurry. See the mowers marching, prizes fill the sky. This Spanish Town Mardi Gras, may it never die.